Uber passengers of Reddit that have given 1 out of 5 stars on a ride. What happened to make it so bad? Kept talking me non-stop, and was asking me sexual questions, and kept trying to show me music videos on his phone while driving, and drove me to the wrong location, and ended up charging me more. Immediately gave him a 1 star. Had something similar happen in a cab. He kept pointing out girls walking on the street and asking if I'd do her. I am a girl, which made it a little extra weird. I'm a guy and I always find it strange when guys will just randomly point at a girl and say, "I'd do her." Thanks for letting me know, I guess. Seriously, he was waiting for you to ask.
Would you do me?
I used to always tell that guy, sure, but would they do you? Really the type of guy girls don't point at saying, I would do him. As someone working in construction, life is hell. Sex talk all day every day, sometimes as early as 5 a.m, weary face. My Uber was new to the area and attempted to drive down a railroad track. I asked what he was doing and he said, "Oh, sorry." Yo, what? That's not a new to the area thing, that's an insane thing. Almost seems like a new to driving in general thing. Not even. It's more like new to going outdoors. Sorry, I usually drive trains. Didn't acknowledge me at all, had some song screaming, "Just suck that and eat that" on loop, and was Facebooking while driving. Lazy town, feet Lil Jon. Gotta do the cooking by the book. Drop it down. Let me see you back it up. It blows my mind how many drivers have this kind of music playing. I mean, nothing really phases me on its face, but aren't they afraid of people giving them 1 star for that sort of thing? Like, why even take the risk? Also, honestly, who wants to listen to songs about when you're in a car with a stranger? I've taken way more lifts than I can count, and basically every time they ask me, is this music okay? You want me to change it? The only guy who didn't ask me had the Bible playing on his sound system as an audiobook. I've never been a religious person, but I don't mind the Bible playing on my ride. I'm not religious, but I'd way rather listen to religious stuff than sex stuff in this situation. But there are just so many safe options here. I have to assume that people who make these choices just don't care about their ratings that much. The kicker was she had a 4.7 rating, and one of the reviewers loved her taste in music. The driver didn't want to wait in traffic, so he drove up onto the sidewalk. We all screamed at him to get back on the road as he continued to drive down the sidewalk while pedestrians ran out of the way. He told us that it wasn't a sidewalk, it was an Uber lane. It was a miracle he didn't actually run anyone over. Pretty sure that's more of a call the police than a rate 1 star situation. Right? Why aren't these people reporting these dangerous drivers? Uber lane, though, pretty funny. You know what? 2 out of 5, because even though he killed a guy, still made me laugh. From the safety of our homes it is funny. Not so funny when you're on the sidewalk. This sounds like Uber, Russian edition. Lol, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Was in a group taxi in Moscow once, the driver got sick of traffic and just started driving off the road. Hell, I'd give him 5 stars for that. That's a good driver to get the customer where they need to be no matter the situation. This is so funny, I'm laughing out loud and read it to my family. The Uber lane literally killed me, I have tears in my eyes. Why do I think this would make a very funny scene in a movie? Was he from outside the US? I've heard that Korean UPS drivers have been known to drive on the sidewalk. Maybe he came from a country where this is pretty common? The incident took place in Chicago. The dude may have had an accent, but I can't remember what it was, as this was years ago. Stopped on the highway to read road signs during rush hour more than once. First of the month, new billboards. Told me gleefully that she brake checks people who tailgate her, then proceeded to do it multiple times. With other people in the car? Seriously? You're purposefully putting other people in danger. Done properly, there is not danger to you. You maintain constant pressure on the gas pedal and then just tap the brake so that the lights come on and you do not slow down. I don't know where this "you actually put on the brakes" came from, but it needs to stop. Do it properly. You get the same response from the guy behind you. He drove me around the planet because he missed road signs and somehow got on the highway. I looked up and was horrified. I asked him why we got on the highway and he said because he couldn't turn the other way because there was too much traffic. The trip was 15 minutes but took 1 hour and 2 minutes. It was insane. They tried to charge me for the whole trip too. I was taking an Uber home from the airport. The ride was perfect and he even insisted on dropping my baggage to the front door. Awesome. He then asked if he could use the restroom really quick and of course I obliged. He wasn't in there for more than 3 minutes, but when I went to wash my hands after, I found my bathroom destroyed. Shit was all over the toilet seat and just everywhere. I really wish he had just taken more than a minute and shit like a normal human being, but the dude must have had a leaky butthole because there was shit on my walls too. A 1-star review was the bare minimum, I think. What the f***? Some people are just weird with their shit. Yesterday at work a customer took a shit in one of our bathroom trash cans. Did you complain to Uber? What did they say? I have to know more. I'm pretty sure they'd say it's your fault for letting the driver in your house. They can't be held responsible for things drivers do while not driving. Lol, tell them to charge the driver a $150 cleaning fee this time and flip the script. When I got into the car, he immediately yelled in a stern voice, "State your account ID." I take Uber almost daily, and I know drivers like to ask for your name, but I was so taken aback by the aggressive yelling. As soon as I got into the car, I was met with the most awful smell I've ever experienced in my whole life. It was like something died in his car. I had to hold my breath throughout the 20-minute ride. Then, he drove me to the wrong place. 2 times. By the second time, I just decided to walk to my destination because I was so vexed by the smell. Before I got out, after sitting in the car in silence, he yelled, "Rate 5 stars." He wouldn't unlock the door until I agreed. Yep, 1 out of 5. They drove over my foot as I was trying to get my luggage into the car, lol. I'm sorry that had to happen, but, laughing my ass off. Hope you're alright. Uber driver was visibly drunk. Not blackout drunk, but it was obvious he was having a hard time staying in his lane. He kept veering over the yellow line, then would jerk the wheel the other way, nearly running us off the road a few times. He also had an open can of Bud Light in his cup holder. I had him drop me off a few blocks from my actual destination because I didn't want to die that night, rated him 1 star, and reported him. Not sure if anything came from it. She was simultaneously driving for Lyft and picked up another passenger completely out of our way. Then proceeded to brag about how she picked up some high school kids earlier and they had their destination set to the liquor store where she bought them liquor. Simultaneously driving for Lyft and Uber are pretty normal. Picking up multiple passengers at once from separate apps is not. Not even going to touch the high schoolers portion though. I almost missed my flight because of that once. Tried to sleep with me. I had to call Uber and report them. Had a guy that made a creepy sexist comment to me once. Reported him. Uber refunded my trip and said they'd take it up with him or something like that. Still uncomfortable considering the dude has my home address and my phone number. If it makes you feel better, the Uber driver doesn't get your actual phone number unless it gets to your voicemail and your message actually has your number in it. Uber has a phone number you call that acts like a middleman between the two so nobody gets the other's number. Source, was a Uber driver for a few months. Had a guy Uber driver, keep asking me when I would have kids. Told him I couldn't since I had cancer, hoping it would end that conversation, and he proceeded to tell me how he was kind of glad his ex-wife died of cancer. Told me I should accept Jesus in my life and preached to me a bit. then asked me when I planned on starting a family again 20 minutes after the cancer conversation. Uber never responded when I reported him. Wow. Holy f***. Usually the can't cancer is a reliable conversation ender. Took an Uber from my house to the airport for a work trip. Flight was at 10 a.m, picked me up at 7:30. Got a call from my boss on the way in. Driver screamed at me to hang up because he couldn't hear his podcast on his headphones. My boss, who heard the insane rant, told the entire team to switch to Lyft or taxis after that. Virtually every Uber driver is a Lyft driver. He hit a cyclist who was taking home a pizza slice, didn't help him up, didn't buy him a new pizza slice. He also ran a bunch of red lights. And asked for 5 stars at the end. Being one of my first Uber rides, I mistakenly sat on the front instead of the back. While he was taking me home, I'm a female, he started talking to me and randomly threw in there that he could give me his phone number to make him my regular driver, and then proceeded to say he was kidding and placed his hand on my leg. I was wearing shorts. I felt extremely uncomfortable and unsafe because he dropped me home. I immediately reported him to Uber, and they actually called me to have a better sense of what happened. They never told me exactly what they did, but they did say they took appropriate action, so who knows. A friend of mine told me that after he got into the Uber, the driver handed him his phone and asked him for help on using the GPS. Like, WTF? This has happened to me too. The GPS thing happened to me too. Still rated 4 out of 5 stars because he was otherwise professional. I really don't see what's so WTF about this. It's not like you're the Queen of England in a limo. My Uber picked up someone else instead of me. When I called him to tell him that wasn't me, he put the passenger on the phone and kept driving to the destination. I had to cancel it, and I think he dropped the passenger off at some random spot in town. Uber wouldn't refund my ride either. And that's where credit card disputes come into play. He had a lot of stuff in the back and made me ride in the front with him. I hate riding in the front with Uber drivers, so I told him I'll just get another Uber, and he persisted for me to ride with him. I was already late to a dinner with my family, so I got in, and it was more uncomfortable because he asked a lot of personal questions like where I worked, and what my shifts were. Once I got out, I immediately gave him 1 star and would have given him some negative stars as well if I could. My last Uber didn't say a word to me. 5 out of 5. Said I looked just like their ex-girlfriend, and asked me out to their favorite restaurant in a follow-up text message. Rode in the front due to number of passengers. She shifted into P every time we were stopped at a light. Then proceeded to tell us about her abusive exes and about how now she carries a loaded handgun in her purse, which was by my feet. Because if she ever runs into that last ex, she's gonna shoot him, grimacing face. Lift. Got pulled over for speeding and no seatbelt. Proceeded to then say he's gotten 4 seatbelt tickets and won't ever wear one. Also had a beat to shit car, not sure how it was Lyft approved. Used one car to get approved, drives a completely different car to do the actual rides. I'm pretty sure Uber doesn't add any hardware to the car, so this should be easy enough to do. Probably wasn't. Different car got approved. I had a guy pick me up with his car smelling like meth. He tried to convince me to take his number and he would drive me around without the Uber app. Also tried to make me sit up front and gave me really weird compliments. What does meth smell like? Combination of cleaning products and burning plastic, but also vaguely sweet. Having never done meth but being around people who have, I have tried to describe the smell before and couldn't quite come up with it. This is perfect. The vaguely sweet part was what I was missing. I was riding with a bag of specialty groceries, and the driver asked what I had bought. I was happy to make idle chit-chat, so I answered truthfully, I was going to make a goat curry. Over the next 10 minutes, he monologued about how much he loved goat curry, and how you just can't get a good one in this town, and he needed to marry a wife who made a good goat curry, and he'd never met a woman who even liked goat before, And my curry must be really good, and can he have my number? Can he have my number? He needed my number. I'd obviously make a good wife and give him lots of children and lots of good goat curry. Phone number? I gave him a fake number and scrambled out of the back seat. Never have I felt more grateful that I was being dropped off at the subway station, and not in front of my apartment. A good goat curry is rare and delicious, but I agree his approach was inappropriate as a means to goat curry and marriage. The driver didn't take me to my location, had a messy car, smelled really bad, spent the whole time talking on the phone driving one-handed, didn't follow my directions. I had him pull over so I could get a different driver. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos. Also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and ring the notification bell.